Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Chaos Head. I think the last couple of times we've done these delusions we've chosen green. So we will potentially be choosing red this time. I'm not 100% certain. I say that, we're probably choosing red, but you know. Let me go ahead and get my timer started. There we go. So, why are you scrutinizing someone like me, Esper Boy? What the hell? Do you all understand what kind of day it's been? An earthquake occurred, man. Magnitude 5. Over 100 people died. Yet, why is everyone laying in wait for and getting worked up over an otaku freak like me? Shogun. Shogun must have been the one who gathered them. They were all under his mind control. I had a flashback of Ayase's form as she came falling down this afternoon. In front of his cast of thousands, in the middle of a live nationwide broadcast, as people tensely anticipated my words. I would be compelled to jump from here. If I did, it would be an archetypal example of the saying about how dead men tell no tales. The Esper Boy, who had been attempting to expose a new-gen criminal, had in truth turned out to be the criminal himself. A shocking conclusion, a huge and unexpected twist. They'd make up a story about how I'd flung myself to my death out of regret over my crimes. The curtains would close on New Gen with one last riveting film. My dead body would be exposed to the entire country, smashed against the concrete, my limbs bent in bizarre directions, blood and brain fluid spewing over my cracked open head. Because the viewers wouldn't be satisfied unless things went that far. That's what entertainment is. I see. All I've got to do is die. Then everyone will be happy. Not only everyone, I'll be happy too that way. Because if I die, I'll never have to undergo such a painful and frightening experience again. Time to die. I ought to die. I'll die. I'll die for real. What? The answer had been this easy all along? I felt amazingly relaxed. At ease, I nonchalantly flung my body out into thin air. The scenery of the plaza whirled dizzyingly. I fell. I sensed the wind across my whole body. It felt nice. See, everyone? Look, I've now become a bird.
Ah, 死んじゃった。ばっかじゃないのこいつ。
キモい。
Oh, okay, we were apparently near the end. It just kind of dragged on.
やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ。したくない。
If I had gone literally like an extra 3 minutes, last part, we would have finished off here instead of where we did. Oh well, too late to go back and fix that. Terrified, so scared I might piss myself. It was the first time I'd felt death so close at hand. My consciousness went faint, like a child persisting in saying no. I screamed and cried. The expectation that my actions will get Shogun to let up on me. The expectation that my actions will shake people to sympathize with me and come to help me. The expectation that if I did so, maybe the police would realize I wasn't the criminal, but simply a nasty otaku, and come save me. The expectation that if I did so, maybe my parents, sitting at home and watching TV, would come out and offer themselves up in exchange for me. The expectation that if I did so, maybe Rimi would come, riding in on her white horse to rescue me. The expectation that if I'd opened my eyes with a gasp, I'd discover that in truth, this was all a dream. Brimming with those varied hopes, I shook my head desperately and recited my wish. I don't want to die. But... His voice hadn't changed a bit from before.
もしそれを裏切れば、ボートと化して君に襲いかかってくるかもしれない。
When he said that, I lost the ability to retreat or turn around.
気にすんな。
Why the hell are we reciting Lion King?
ただの脅し文句だよ。タッキー、ナナミッチは死んじゃったんだよ。今ここで逃げ出してもタッキーは悪くないってば。
Even if you say that, I still want to know why the hell we're reciting... why you felt the need to mention Lion King.
そこから見える景色に集中してほしい。
I mean, technically you didn't mention Lion King, but you mentioned something that is more of a phrase that is kind of commonly used amongst people who grew up with Lion King. That otherwise probably wouldn't be as big of a phrase as it is if it wasn't for Lion King. His voice was very cool, and yet it gave off a forcefulness that provided me with no room to back down.
君にここでしてもらうことは一つだけ。
飛び降りるなんてできない。死んじゃう。
誰もそんなことは言っていないよ。
Eh? That's not it? Then I don't have to die?
君にはそこから一歩も動かずにディソードを見つけてもらう。
Oh, and we get the delusion-ish music in the background there. Find my D-sword? How? Until now, I'd searched for it everywhere, and there had been practically no signs of me finding it. How ridiculous, asking me to find it out of the blue in a place like this.
ディソードはいわば妄想の剣。
That would somewhat explain why it is a D sword, D-I sword. Admittedly, delusion starts with D-E, but they kind of pronounce the same. Delusion, D sword. You know, that's not a surprise.
それだけ言えばわかるだろ。
I don't understand.
騙されちゃダメだよ、タッキー。理想度なんて実在しないって。妄想が実際にあるわけないっしょ。
Are you sure about that? Because, I mean, voice in our head kind of doesn't shut up about this.
見つかるわけないよ。
君はこれまでに剣を持った人間と何度か接触した。そうだね。その人物から聞いているはず。理想度をどうやって手に入れたのか。よく思い出して。
この剣は命運を握る。この剣は嘆きを収束させたもの。この剣は超越した場所に干渉するためのもの。異空間のようなもの。同一次元上にあるもう一つの可能性。
Some of this dialogue I don't recall ever being mentioned previously. But then again, it's been weeks since it was potentially mentioned.
あるいは妄想。言い方にあまり意味はないわ。唯一確かなの。この剣もその領域に存在しているということ。いつの間にかそこにあった。気づかなかったわ、最初は。でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。もしかしたら匠にももう見えているのかも。
If we can, we're blind because we haven't seen ours yet.
見ていないだけで。
Oh, thanks. Thanks for being cryptic.
世界を疑え。仕組みを知れ。お前の見ている景色を、妄想を現実にすることが可能だ。 本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。つまりエラーを現実として認識させる。
そうだよ。すでに多くのヒントが提示されているよね。
These hints are basically worthless.
君にはもう見えているはず。君の眼下に広がっているその景色の中に。
In other words, Shogun was hiding my D sword somewhere in the landscape I could see from here. He wanted me to find it?
見つけたら許してくれるの？
見つけるだけじゃクエストクリアにはならない。
Of course not.
実際に剣を手に入れるんだ。
Oh, thank you.
その場から一歩も動いちゃならないっていうルールを破らないようにしてね。
Okay, so we need to lightsaber the shit out of this and pull it towards us. Of course I couldn't do that. If I couldn't move from here, how was I supposed to get to the sword? What the hell was Shogun thinking? Or what the hell was Shogun trying to make me do?
だからあいつは無理難題を突きつけておいて結局タッキーを殺したいだけなんだって。
それができないならナナミちゃんの命はないよ。
But technically he hasn't... At least I don't recall him ever saying anything indicating that he would kill us. Just that he would kill Nanami.
逃げよタッキー、お家に帰ろう。
But if I take one step away from here, he'll kill Nanami.
だからナナミッチはどうせ助からないってば。
The voice in her head really needs to shut up. He'd said I could save her.
あいつの言葉を信じるの？嘘ついてるかもしれないよ。
Should I really be trusting the voice in my head that manifests itself as the appearance of a character from an anime that I watch? Don't know if we should really be trusting you either. I strained my eyes. Due to the radiant light from below, it was hard to see what lay far away. Yeah, I thought as much. That right there. That doesn't look right. So that, you know, looks very out of place. I looked around as much as I could. That said, I didn't have particularly broad view from here. Most of it was hidden by buildings, you know, except for the thing that clearly looks like it's out of place. I had to find it. My sword. I ruminated over ISA and Senna's words one more time. How was I supposed to pull this off?
でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたらわかった。
I'm pretty sure we don't need to change our perspective to see it.
本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。
This doesn't really blend into the scenery either. Right then, for some reason, I remembered a pattern on the ceiling of my room. Since long ago, I'd had a vague thought as I went to sleep. The wood grain of the ceiling looked kind of like a person's face. Does it? Maybe I can kind of sort of see it? Once I started looking at it like that, I stopped being able to see it as anything other than a face.
はいはい、目の錯覚、目の錯覚。そんな木目、どこにでもいっぱいあるよ。
That's true. It's hardly the same thing as the pattern in a piece of wood.
切り取るんだ。
Shogun murmured in his usual composed tone.
剣が見えたなら、そこから切り取る。
Right there.
君にはそれができる。
It's right fucking there.
はーい、意味不明。そいつは適当言ってるだけだよ。
妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。
Like that flower bed. Like the divided ISAs. Well, it wasn't really divided. It was a copy, but whatever. But the last time I tried to make my fake D-sword materialize as the real thing, nothing happened. I turned my face from side to side once more. I tried surveying the tableau as I could see from here. Right. Oh, whoops. Right there. Come on, no. Do you? I saw a sword. Yes. Also, this is interesting that there's actually a choice. I guess asking you if you saw it or not. What the hell is this? Dora the Explorer? Do you see it? Oh my god. Okay, yeah, we're fucking Dora the Exploring this. Or whatever her cousin or whatever his name or whatever he was. I distinctly saw a sword. Yes, I did. That very clearly looks out of place and looks like it should be a sword. Yes, I did. Totally. If I could move from here, I could go take it. I mean, it would depend. When we say move from here, are we including the ability to fly through the sky? I want to say yes, because you didn't specifically say if I could walk from here. You just said move, which does technically include the ability to fly around like you're a superhero. Oh, okay. Something pushed hard at my back. Without my noticing it, someone had come up close behind me. I hadn't sensed anyone's presence. It wasn't Shogun. I didn't hear the creaking of his wheelchair. Then who? The nighttime scenery of the station plaza whirled dizzlingly. I fell. I sensed the wind across my whole body. The ground rushed toward me. I could hear screams. No, rather, cheers from my surroundings. What was this? Was this the end? Was my life over? No. I don't want this. No. Okay. Did we fail? Because, I mean, I very clearly fucking saw something. Oh, okay. Straight up right back to beginning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a save at that decision point. God, can we skip? Holy shit, yes we can. Thank fucking God. Okay, so we're going to make a save here because clearly I'm fucking this up. Okay, so I clearly see what looks like a sword right there on the left. That very clearly looks like a sword. It's very out of place. It's a sword without the hand guard or whatever it's called. The horizontal bit, but all the swords we've seen for these people have been these fantasy type swords. So yes, I see a sword. It's clearly meant to be a sword. And I distinctly see it. It's not really blending in, like, at all. But I guess moving from here is talking about just walking, in which case, no. You can see that sword from places other than here. Yes, I would say you should be able to see it from other locations. Since we made it through those first couple ones successfully, I'm going to go ahead and make another save now, and I'm going to say yes, you should be able to see it from other locations, I would imagine. Apparently I'm supposed to believe that you cannot see this pillar of sword here from other locations. I'm going to say right now, that's a load of BS, because you'd be able to see from this building over here. Technically speaking, I think you'd be able to see it from the ground up. depending on exactly which side of this building it's clearly looks to be against, which side of the building you're on. If you're over here, where this little red car is down here in the bottom, look up and you'd see it. If you're over here off to the far right of the screen, you would probably be able to see it, but apparently the answer is no to that one. Which again, I think is a load of BS, but fine, we'll say no. It's not actually a sword. I'm inclined to disagree on that. It very clearly looks like a sword, and we also mentioned previously it was distinctly a sword. There we go. I saw it. Saw it fucking ages ago. As I mentioned previously, apparently when they say, if I could move from here, I could take it, they clearly must have been referring to just the ability to walk there. And yet they just use the word move, which has different meanings depending upon what your, what's a good way to describe it? Your form of locomotion is, you know. It could be walking, it could be running, it could be flying through the sky because you're secretly Superman. But clearly, they meant just walk or run, I guess. In the vague, blurring night scenery, in the midst of the landscape whose light was bent by my welling tears, I found a place that looked just like a sword. It was as ISA had said. I hadn't noticed it at first. I noticed it at first. But once I changed my perspective a tiny bit, at some point it was there. It was there the entire time. It was not very well hidden. As soon as we were told to start looking for a sword, I could see it immediately. I was fine with anything, even if it had only happened to appear like that by coincidence. The more I thought of it as a sword, the denser it got, at last becoming veiled by a sense of reality and gaining a stronger and stronger presence in the scenery. Sure. Right. I could already make out its outlines clearly. Yes, I could do that from the very beginning as well. Which does actually beg the question. Was it always there, or did it just change as we progressed through the scene, with certain parts where it actually became visible? Like, was something actually here in previous scenes before we were told to start looking for the sword? I'm curious about that, and now I really want to check. I really do. So I don't normally do this, but we're going to go ahead and take a quick step back in time at the start of this. Oh, it's not right here. Shoot. Any of these? No, shoot. Okay, I just want to... Yes, it was already right there in this scene before we're even asked. I didn't notice it then, but I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on in the scene itself. I was busy reading the dialogue. So, okay, it's been there the entire frickin' time, potentially. And we only just now noticed it. Well, our character only just now noticed it, and like I said, I didn't notice it until we were told to start looking for a sword. The Shogun was quick to address me as he noticed me catching my breath. I don't know if I want to cut it away, because I feel like there's two ways it can go. Cut away as in you want us to remove it so that we don't have the ability to get it, or you want us to cut away it out of the scenery and pull it towards us. Depending upon what you mean, cutting away sounds like it could be a terrible idea or it could be a great idea. I looked down. Innumerable people. Oh, hey! I don't think these were there previously. Looks like a news van. And another news van. Apparently the police haven't bothered showing up. Neither have as an ambulance or anything. No emergency medical brigade had arrived yet. It was the same as this afternoon. Their response times were too slow, which was only to be expected. That just showed how intense the casualties from the earthquake at noon had been.
切り取るなんてできないよ。
固定観念にとらわれたらダメだ。
Oh wait, did you say emergency? You say emergency medical brigade, but apparently no police have shown up either to like clear out the area. Nobody to try and talk you down from not jumping, because for all they know, that's what we're wanting to do. We're wanting to jump. Literally nothing. Nobody's trying to stop this whatsoever, is what I'm getting at. Nobody has apparently shown up with the bright idea of, hey, maybe we should try and talk down the guy who's potentially wanting to jump off of a, I don't know, say what, a 6-7 story building potentially. It's a little hard to tell, but you know, it's, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 floors up, and we're on the roof, so you know, technically add one more to whatever the actual number of floors there are in this building.
最初からできるわけがないと思っていたら何もできない。常識を捨て去ってあるがままを見ればいいんだ。君には力がある。世界はその力に応えてくれる。あの花壇みたいにね。
Could I really do it? Would that sword become mine merely by stretching out my hand? If it were true, there'd be nothing wrong with giving it a try. ISA had said my D-sword would bring me salvation. Maybe those words had implicitly been referring to this very moment. I would obtain my sword and clear the quest, and Nanami would come home unharmed, and Shogun would stop interfering with me. I'd go back to the peaceful lifestyle I'd led up until now.
そんなに都合よくいくと思う？
Oh god, no.
将軍があっさりタッキーを見逃すって？
Highly doubtful.
だって相手は10人も殺した連続殺人鬼なんだよ。
Well, technically, do we know Shogun? Excuse me. Do we technically know if Shogun is actually the serial killer? Because he could have been trying this same crap with other people, trying to get them to get their D-sword. Even Shogun wouldn't try to make me do the impossible. I could do it. He was telling me to do it because I could. Yeah, that's a little bit too much faith in a random person you have met once, face to face, and who has scared the ever-living shit out of you ever since.
あいつはタッキーを殺したいだけ。忘れたの？集団ダイブの映像。将軍は5人の男女を1回も触れることなく転落死させたんだよ。
And that might have been, like I said, him attempting to get them to grab their D-sword. And they didn't do it right and proceeded to fall and die. Too bad for Sarah, but I'd already extended my hand as though seeking deliverance. The herd below began rumbling. The thousands of people stuffed into the plaza paid close heed to my every gesture. For that matter, the broadcast meant tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people throughout all of Japan were watching me. Nausea surged within me. My heart seemed about to crumble under the pressure of being watched by such a vast number of people. No, I mustn't be too conscious of it. If I become too conscious of it, nervousness would keep me from moving so much as a finger. Now I had to focus on the sword. Being careful on my feet, I stood there and stretched out a hand. Fixing my aim on the sword in my sight, I tried to grasp it by instinct alone. But I felt nothing. The wind mercilessly rushed at me. Moreover, the direction of the wind was intermediate. As soon as I thought it was coming from in front of me, the next instant it would push me from the side. I was gripping the acrylic plate to hold myself up, but it was slippery, so the only thing that really helped were my nerves. If I became even a little distracted, I'd get thrown off the edge. Even so, I frantically attempted to seize the sword, but no matter how many times I tried, I didn't succeed.
できるわけないよ。
Timer's about to go off, so let me go ahead and cancel that.
だってあれは本当の剣じゃないんだよ。
Tears poured out of me again. My field of sight, excuse me. My field of sight went misty, and the sword-like object I had seen only faintly began to disintegrate. I hastily wiped my tears. If I lost sight of it once, I had the feeling that I'd never find it again.
それならもっと手を伸ばせばいい。
Shit. You have no idea what this is like for me. I bit my lip, holding back my tears, and leaned out further than ever before, my hand swimming through empty air. But I couldn't grab onto the sword after all.
もっと
If I fell from here... I looked down again. I was higher up than I'd imagined. On the brink of vertigo, I yanked myself back and clung to the wall of acrylic.
どうしたの？剣を早く手に入れて。でないといつまで経ってもナナミちゃんは戻ってこないよ。
I shouldn't have looked down. My shaking wouldn't stop. My trembling made my feet seem about to slip. I was completely coward.
できないよ。許して。
君はあまり僕を舐めない方がいい。君のわがままに付き合うつもりはないんだ。理想度を手に入れろ。それができないなら、君の妹は死ぬ。君も死ねばいい。
Well, thank you for being such a friendly person, Shogun.
ただそれだけ。
No, I don't want to die.
死にたくない。
I unwillingly thrust my body through the hole again and reached out my hand. I could still see the sword there. I had tried to do it over and over, but it was still no good. It definitely seemed like I could reach it, but no matter what, I never quite got there. I leaned out further still. I stretched my hand toward the sword, as if I were reaching with my whole body. I strained the tips of my fingers to their limit, and slowly closed my hand. As before, I felt nothing.
手が届かないよ。
This was impossible. Sarah had been right. There wasn't any way I could grab a half-transparent sword like that. In the first place, the law of perspective made it seem like it was an ordinary size, but thinking about it more calmly, it had to be unbelievably gigantic. I don't know. That doesn't look like it's supposed to be ordinarily sized. It wasn't the size of something a person could hold.
その剣をつかめばクエストクリアなんだよ。
でも落ちちゃう。届かない。
ナナミちゃんを助けなくていいの？
助けて。もう許して。死にたくないんだよ。
昼間のことを思い出すんだ。君の力があればそこから落ちたとしてもまた花壇を出現させればいい。
But ISA only fell, what, maybe three floors? Well, technically, I guess 4, since she would have been on the roof. And I think that our school has been indicated to be something like three floors. Presumably maybe one for each year, potentially, I don't know. So, yeah, and I'm pretty sure higher than that, because that's 4 floors right there, 5, so, I mean, we're clearly on like the 6th or 7th floor, effectively, of this building, if we count the roof as a floor.
君は落ちても死なない。
自信ある？
I heard Sarah's teasing whisper by my ear. Confident?
タッキーがここから落ちて下の地面に激突するまでほんの3秒もないよ。
Well, thank you, Sarah.
その間に自分の意志でまた花壇を出現させる。タッキーがそんなすごいことできる？
But technically, can we do that? Because Shogun has indicated that we're not supposed to move from here to get the sword. So, even, like, falling to be able to reach the sword and then manifest a flower bed beneath us so we don't crack our head open, and our guts go flying everywhere when we crash into the concrete below us. Would he allow that? Because like I said, he's sort of indicated we're not supposed to move from here when we try to reach for the sword.
今まで一度も自分で意識してその力とかっての使ったことないっしょ
Oh, fun. Well, last time we did red, so we're doing green now. And I'm going to assume that this will take us through to the end of this section here. And then that'll be the end of this part. So this part is going to go a little bit long. Right. For starters, even if I'd been able to use it before, I didn't know how.
ねえ、逃げよう。タッキーはよくやったよ。でもこれ以上は無理。
The Shogun's indicated that if we attempt to just walk away, he'll kill us anyway.
死にたくないっしょ
But, Nanami.
タッキーはよくやったよ。妹を亡くした悲劇の兄として今後もやっていけるって。
I don't think that's the type of character set that works particularly well. Or personality, I don't know. I don't know what the term I'm particularly looking for off the top of my head right now. It's escaping me. A tragic brother.
PTSD って言えば何もかも許されるっしょ。
I don't think they'll forgive anything.
正々堂々と引きこもれるんだよ。あ、もしかしたらさ、どっかの偽善者が同情してタッキーを養ってくれるかもしんないね。
That feels like it's the setup for a hentai.
ブログに適当なこと書けば出版社に目をつけられてベストセラーになっちゃうかも。日本中が泣いたとか白々しいキャッチコピーがつけられて、それに載せられたバカでゆとりな人たちからの感動した共感したっていう絶賛の嵐。それで印税もガッポガッポ。半年後に映画が決定っしょ。すごいよ。ナナミッチをここで見殺しにするだけでタッキーにはバラ色の人生が待ってるんさ。さあどっちを選ぶ？タッキーがここで頑張ってでも死んで全てが無になるか、バラ色の人生か。
死にたくない。
Okay, I kind of expected that to go a bit longer. It actually was fairly short. Oh... Fuck it, we'll go even more.
痛いのは嫌だ。死ぬのは嫌だ。消えるのは嫌だ。ナナミがどうなろうと、僕は痛くも痒くもない。
I muttered as though to persuade myself. The one on the right wasn't Shogun, it was Seira.
あの剣は剣に見えるだけで剣じゃない。ただの光の反射とか目の錯覚だ。
そうだよ。さあ帰ろう。帰ったらさ、私のパンツ見ながらいっぱいオナニーしていいから。
僕帰る。帰ってセーラタンでハーハーするよ。
嬉しいな。タッキーのためにエッチなポーズたくさんしてあげるね。
I slowly pulled back my outstretched hand. That alone made me feel very much at peace. Yeah, at peace. I took Seira out of my breast pocket and contemplated her smile, as long as I had Seira's forgiveness, I didn't need anything else. I snuffed up the stuff running from my nose. I veered around and walked up to Shogun.
誰が動いていいと許可した？クエストはまだクリアしていないぞ。
僕は勇者なんかじゃない。妹一人救えないようなヘタレな妹だよ。僕に期待しないで。僕を見ないで。僕をそっとしておいて。
ではナナミちゃんは殺すことにするよ。
どうせもう死んでる。
She was already dead. The Shogun had brutally murdered her. Tomorrow they'd report about it all over the place as the 6th new gen case. It saddened me, but I couldn't do anything about it. I wasn't expecting to jump into another delusion. The sound of water dripping, it wasn't a rivulet of water. Nanami's blood. Pure red blood trickling from the stump of her waist. Or stump of her wrist, rather.
なんで助けてくれなかったの？鬼って最低。
I screamed at the top of my lungs. The world went crimson. Fury and grief and shame ground my thoughts to a pulp. I charged blindly at Shogun. I grabbed at him, sitting still in the shadows. But there was less of a physical response than I'd expected. I fell headlong together with the wheelchair. I must have hit my knee. Pain shot through it. Grimacing, I looked about in confusion for the person who'd been sitting in the wheelchair. A head had tumbled down by my feet. I gingerly reached for it. It was very hard. Rather than a once living head, it was clearly something akin to a helmet. A pitch black helmet.
Das Spider.
I was about to say, that literally looks like a Spider-Man costume crossed with Darth Vader. Chapter 7, Psychopath. I don't recall if it was this game or one of the other ones, but I swear there was one of these games that had one of these visual novels that I started a Let's Play of previously had an issue with a certain chapter that if you did not complete it in one sitting, you could not load saves from it. I do not recall if that is this one, and I do not recall if the latest iteration of the fan patch that I'm using fixed it. I believe the comment that when somebody had posted informing me about this updated fan patch or fan translation had mentioned that that some issue or another was fixed, but I don't recall what it was. I think it might have been this game that had that issue back in the day, and it might have been fixed. I'd have to go and drag out the comment, which isn't really that hard to do, but yeah. So that is going to be it for this part. I will see you all next time. Quick reminder that I do have a Patreon, Discord, and a Streamlabs donation link all down below in the description. If you want to stay updated on what's going on with the channel, I do highly recommend that you join the Discord. That is my go-to place for posting about anything going on with the channel, changes to my recording schedule, changes to my streaming schedule, any potential interruptions because of holidays or whatever the case may be. I will typically post that type of stuff over on my Patreon, or excuse me, on my Discord. If you want to help support the channel, the Patreon and Streamlabs links are your two best ways to help do that. Patreon gets you early access to videos in exchange for Patreon taking a 5% cut of whatever it is that you give. If you don't give a crap about getting the early access and you just want to help support the channel, then I would recommend you probably go the Streamlabs route. A number of months back, I think it might have been September or August, they added in the ability to do monthly donations, likely as their means of trying to compete with Twitch subscriptions. But hey, you can use it in a similar way here to as competing with like YouTube membership or just anything of that nature. If you go that route, the channel basically gets 100% of whatever you give. If the channel loses anything, I think it's just a small amount from PayPal, still less than the cut that Patreon takes. But I'm pretty sure the way I have things set up, nobody actually takes any cut of whatever it is that you give. As a result of the channel gets 100% or at least damn close to 100% of whatever you give. So if you just want to support the channel, you don't care about getting early access and whatnot, Streamlabs is going to be the way to go for that type of stuff. So links to all of that stuff down below in the description. I will see you all next time, where we will be either having a very, very, very long part, in which case, fun, or if the issue's been fixed, it'll just be sort of a normal-ish length part. But either way, I'll see you all next time. Until then, goodbye and farewell.